the war. It's GSBN, Global Sports Broadcasting Network.com. Streaming live on GSBN and Facebook Live.
All righty, welcome back to Global Sports Broadcasting Network. This is your host, Cornelius Brad Hanna. It is Hanna Time. That's the name of the show. We do this every Monday through Friday around this time, at this time. We're in different parts of the world, too. UK, Eastern Europe, South America, Asia. Let's bring it to you. We got a big sports day for you. We got a new sheriff in town. New sheriff in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys got a new sheriff. Mike McCarthy, the former Green Bay Packer Super Bowl champion coach, who won his Super Bowl in Dallas. NFL had a wild weekend and a wild card weekend of football games. Every game went down to the wire. Just a lot of entertaining football, NFL football for your weekend. And expect the same. We're going to get into that more. Also, Tom, bye-bye? Oh, no. Hello. One more year, Tom Brady, or not? He says he wants to go to 44. Let's see what happens. We'll talk about that, all right? The NFL officiating in yesterday's game, or over the weekend, again, has been a topic of issue, debate, and we're going to go through it one more time. I hope that this is the last time, but probably not. Probably not. We're going to continue to talk about referees. Also, the NFL changing of the quarterback guard. Tom Brady's out. Drew Brees is out. Okay. To your top two quarterbacks with a lot of history there. Aging quarterbacks. Do they return? Brady or Brees? What is going on in the NFL? We'll talk more about that also. Okay. All right. Let's get to it. Let's say hi to some people right away. I got Ruby. I got Gabriel, Tom in the house. We have Holly in the house. We have Jacqueline in the house. Armando, good morning to you, my friend, in Newark, California. All right. I know that area very well. Dawn from the UK, London area. Jacqueline says good morning. Carmen says hello. Good morning, Carmen. And who else we popping in there? Rodrigo and Rogerio. I love his name. Rogerio Moreira da Silva. He sounds like a big boxing fight. All righty. Who else we got in there? Todd in the house. Calvin in the house. Calvin from the Buffalo area. I know it's Calvin. He's a big Baltimore fan. All right. Denise in the house. Who else we got? I'm missing. Armando, I got you. I know I missed some of you at the top. All right. Let's get into it. My apology. Hang in there. Let me talk about, again, what we're going to get into. New sheriff in town in Dallas, a new head coach. We got an NFL playoff wild weekend to talk about. Tom Brady, bye-bye. Drew Brees, what's up with Brees? NFL officiating blunders or not? And the NFL changing of the quarterback guard. Is it really happening, or are we just having a fad? Okay, like a few years of this, and we go back to what we always see, the pocket quarterback, right? We've been through this before. All right, here we go. Cowboys, Cowboy fans, Dallas haters. Cowboys are hiring Mike McCarthy. If you haven't heard it yet, the breaking news about within the hour is that Mike McCarthy has agreed to terms with the Dallas Cowboys, the former Packer Super Bowl champion who won his Super Bowl in Dallas, who had a home there in Texas, Dallas area for many, many years. Felt like this was going to happen. He's got a lot of family in the Texas area and kind of coming back home in a way. Okay, I'll talk more about that in a minute. But Cowboys wasted no time. You know, they reportedly agree with Mike McCarthy this over the weekend. But word got out that he has signed the contract this morning, that he's officially on, and the word is out that he is now the Cowboys coach. Jerry Jones wanted a coach, wanted a big-name coach, established coach, a respected coach, something to get Dallas in a different direction. I don't know how much Mike McCarthy would be a puppet, or does he want to be a puppet? I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out, because we know that Jerry Jones has a lot of control and a lot of dictation going on in that organization and what goes on that field. Even play calling, oddly enough. All right, so McCarthy, the longtime Green Bay coach, was fired in 2018. A lot of that came down to, was it between his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, disagreement. I thought it was just basically the Packers not drafting well, and a lot of injuries caught up with the Packers over the years. They've gotten healthy, they've gotten younger, they've drafted well, and they're back on the map. Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback, but Mike McCarthy still has his fingerprints on that Packer team, believe it or not. McCarthy has been talking with the Cowboys all week. I talked about this with you last week, that McCarthy was going to be a hot candidate in Dallas. Cowboys didn't officially announce it until this morning, but I spoke to my strong source who has had drank beer, hung out at his house there in the Dallas area on the lake, a lake house there. He has a home in Green Bay and had a home there in Dallas for many years, but he has a lot of family there. So I talked to my good friend Tom back in the Dallas area. How do you feel about it? And he responded back, I love it. Jason Garrett had to go. I'm so jazzed. They have a lot of talent in Dallas. He'll get the best out of them. I'll be a Cowboy fan again next year in the support. Oh, all right. So I come back and I asked him more about, him being a top candidate. And he responded as this. Okay. Because I know he liked the Dallas area, Mike McCarthy. He will bring toughness, discipline to a team. He sold his house on Lake Travis not too long ago, where he lived, but still has family around the Dallas area. Mike McCarthy. Smartest thing about Jerry Jones is hiring this guy. Okay. Most likely, Mike McCarthy is going to go find a home on Lake Travis again there in the Dallas area. He's a Cowboy. He's officially a Dallas Cowboy head coach. How do you feel about that? A lot of people thought McCarthy was it was all Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron had a decent year again. But in a lot of ways, he's a veteran coach. He's a good coach. In a lot of ways, in the locker room, players loved him. He did win, and he won a lot in Green Bay. He's got a great track record. This may not work. It may work, but I have a good feeling that it will. It will. He took a year off after coaching and got himself a big-time job in a place, in an area where in Dallas, he loved the area. Travis Lake. I told you this last week, it was coming down. I told you last week that Dallas really was going after Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy really liked going to Dallas. And I put that in perspective for you last week. It just came down to whatever negotiating it was, but he was, I thought, the number one guy on their list. And then McCarthy really wanted that job more than any other job out there. And he got his job. Great fit in a lot of good ways. Let's see what happens. Jerry World is kind of chaotic for the last few decades. We'll find out soon enough if Mike McCarthy can find a way to get Dallas to the highest level that it wants to without Jerry World circling his wagons in Dallas. Let the Cowboy, the new Cowboy, do what he's got to do. There's going to be a lot of changes in Dallas. Personnel, some players, there's roster issues, there's financial issues that they got to work out. But he has the core in Dallas to do something. Hey, Dallas is playoff potential every year with the talent they have. We'll see what happens. Congratulations, Mike McCarthy. You're going back home. Going back home. All righty, more comments coming in. How do you feel about this? Had your time. Who's this? It was Armando. Armando says, time to go home, Tom. Oh, he's talking about Tom Brady. I'm knowing there's my McCarthy. Yeah, we'll talk about Tom Brady in a minute there. Appreciate it, though. Is that Clayla? We got Travis, Trevor, Dawn. We got Brenda in the house, Diana in the house, Michelle in the house, Dwayne, Armando. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. I hear you. Australia people. Hello, Australia. Paula, Kenny, Salinas in the house. All right. Angel and Fidel. All right. So we're gearing up for the second round of the NFL playoffs, okay? We're gearing up, and what a weekend it was with the NFL games. We're going to talk about the NFL a lot, obviously. This is their time, playoff football. We're going to talk about this, what happened over the weekend, okay? Texans beat the Bills 22-19, okay, in overtime on a field goal, all right? Patriots beat the Titans. No, Titans beat the Patriots. Gosh, did I wake up from a nightmare? All right, so Titans win 20-13. All right, that went down to the wire also. The Vikings and the Saints, what a game. Vikings win in overtime on a touchdown, 26-20. And then last night, ugly game, two teams that just somebody had to win and looked like Seattle. Well, they had enough. 17-9, close game, closer than it was. The score, even only it was an 8-point, one possession game again. Every game was one possession in the NFL over the weekend. So it wasn't like there was no blowouts. 3 road teams won. Where are we in the NFL? And truly, is there any clear-cut team to go all the way? I don't believe there is. I believe there are teams that are a little bit better, but doesn't mean they go on to win. They're not that dominant. They're going to have to prove it and get us to the point where we can say that. But the NFL next weekend, there are matchups that are scary for those teams who have had bye weeks. And we'll break that down during the week, okay? But as we go through this horrible weekend of rule changes and trying to figure out what the heck is going on, a rule was in place to avoid the interference call from being botched like it did last year with the Saints and the Rams. It happened. Not as obvious, not as reckless, but it happened in New Orleans again. Crucial time in overtime. It was a 3rd down in overtime. If that pass goes incomplete, the game-winning touchdown, it was 4th down, and Minnesota has to kick the field goal, giving the Saints one chance to kick a tying field goal again or go win it with a touchdown. Vikings scored the touchdown. They win the game in overtime because of the touchdown on the first possession. Game over. All right. But the interference call that wasn't called was in place to protect and do the right thing. The controversy is this. It happened again. Not as obvious, but it was clearly an offensive pass interference. Pushing off, extending your arm, getting separation. The defender clearly being shoved back, having a reaction to the shove, and able to get your arms. The guy had him covered. The Saints defender had him covered. So now here we are again. The NFL implements a rule, a change, that you can challenge pass interference. And all year long, it wasn't going as high level rate as we were thinking, that the NFL and the referees were just going to reverse everything and it was going to be a mess. They were using it in particular times that were so obvious that they had to reverse a call. Or they had to do it once in a while to satisfy the people around the league and the fans. So the low percentage rate of reversing an interference call, either way, wasn't a high rate. It was very, very low. And it continued in the playoffs. The Saints, in my eyes, got screwed again. Because that was a big game. It's playoff football. It happened in the same place again. They had a chance, and I sat there like a lot of people going, do the right thing. Because if you called pass interference against the Viking tight end, Rudolph, offensive pass interference, I think everybody, unless you're a Viking fan, would have been okay with it. Thinking, yeah, he did push off and would have been satisfied. And if they try to reverse that, they couldn't reverse that call. That's the amazing thing about it. And I think everybody can agree on that. Now, what is the ref looking at in the back corner of the end zone? He is right there looking at this. Does he have a good angle to see the push off? If he doesn't, move. Take a step. Move your body to get an angle on what you can see. Don't just stand there. My impression was he stood there and he got blocked. Now, I know it's a tough call because maybe the bodies move differently and you moved and you shouldn't have moved. But there was no pass interference by his judgment. Or did he see it? The NFL did review it and felt like it wasn't enough. I don't believe that. I cannot, your instant replay review that you put in, give the justice back to New Orleans. You screwed it up last year by your officiating, and you had a chance. And hey, Minnesota was going to kick a field goal, and it probably could have been the game winner anyway. But you ended it that way. You ended that game on controversy. That's exactly what you were supposed to do to fix this problem, or you don't care. So in my eyes, you don't care, and I understand that, but don't leave a rule in the book that way. Take it out, forget it, it's over. We don't reverse interference calls, but you blew it. You blew it because you had a chance to do it. You had a chance because people were upset last year. Why bother put the instant replay in for pass interference and you don't utilize it correctly? You didn't even spend 1 minute on reviewing this. And it took me 5 seconds to go, pass interference. I can see fans in the front row in New Orleans see it in their own eyes, calling pass interference in real time. I'm just saying, folks, if you have a rule and you have a chance to review it in a big game, in a place where it has not gone well, wow. And for the New Orleans Saints, for New Orleans, you've been through so much for 3 years in a row. And you're waking up today going, is this a repeated nightmare? For a Saints fan, yes, it is. For 3 years in a row, your game has ended in craziness, controversy, a miracle in Minnesota that you lost on the last play of the game. Thank God for New Orleans that you have won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. I don't believe you would have won. I mean, you did the onside kick and you had the pick six in that Super Bowl and you won it. And you can't get back. And it looks like you're not going back because everything is going. I mean, did the Saint make a deal with the devil because something is just not going well in New Orleans? You're getting so close, but something continues to stop you from going back to a Super Bowl. We all thought it was this year again, and we were wrong. It's been tough, but you got one. You got your Super Bowl, and thank God you did. Because if you didn't get a Super Bowl, Drew Brees would be a quarterback that never won a Super Bowl, and it would be a different light on Drew Brees' career. In New Orleans, I know it's hard, but man, you are blessed that you got one because this does not look good without Drew Brees getting older and all that. All right, moving on. Comments. I see your comments. All right, who we got here? Fidel. Hey, good morning, Fidel. Good morning, my man. Jerry Jones is the coach. We know Fidel. He is. Anisha in the house. Good morning. Anthony in the house. Good morning. Choo Choo back in the house with the train. We got Joel in the house. Jason Himmelstein in the house. Himmelstein in the house. Hey, Jason, how are you? Happy holidays. Bring on. Joseph. Jessica. Good morning. Who we got there? Stephen Harris. Hey, Stephen, I hope you're feeling better. Anthony Carrillo in the house. Good. Wait. What up, everybody? Yep. And we have Tom in the house. Tom Romain in the house. Anisha, is Lamar and company not dominant? It's dominant, but we don't know how long it lasts. Chaverson, Glenn Anderson, and Bob Underwood in the house. Billy Wise in the house. Jessica says, just like they have them, the touchdown by, Cook touchdown. Good job, Jessica. You're on it today. Anthony Carrillo says, that's the problem. The NFL implements changes and rules. Ref makes the call to their preference. There's no set way they can call that. Good job there, Anthony. NFL are not on the same page when it comes to the rules. It surely looks like it, my friend. It does look like it. Bob Underwood says, karma for the bounty gate. Oh, I understand that. Good one, Bob. And we got Kelvin in the house. And then who is on it last? Is that Barb? What am I looking at? Yeah, Barbie. Barbie's back in the house. Okay. I am dealing with like a weird allergy. And I'm like, ugh. I got to take a little quick sip. Hang on. Okay. Just a very horrible allergy going on. All right, let's get back into the next part of the show. Do you agree with the referee's devastating penalty in the Texans game against the Buffalo Bills? Do you agree with that? That was the call where there was a big play for Buffalo, getting a first down, and there was a blindside block on the edge by an offensive lineman that wasn't devastating me in the way of blindside. They were both face to face, but there is a rule that it's a judgment rule, but it was devastating, and it led to the Texans winning the game in overtime. I wasn't quite comfortable with the call, the penalty. The offensive lineman did come up out of nowhere where it was dangerous, but we've seen a lot of blocks on special teams this way. We've seen a lot of blocks in the game overall on the outside edge when a runner has the ball and there's blocking going on. And unfortunately for defenders, yes, you don't see the block coming. But this one wasn't an obvious, dangerous one. And that's where I believe it was a blown call. Wasn't as bad. It was straight up. Wasn't like he came out of nowhere. He came up to him, took 3 or 4 steps. The defender had 3 or 4 steps, and they both just kind of, hey, the defender didn't see him. He never saw him. He wasn't vulnerable at that point. He was moving forward. All right. Big one. I thought the J.J. Watt sack, coming off the injured list, playing in a game on a reserve role or a part-time role and getting more playing time as the game went, had the biggest play of the game on a third down with a big sack that turned the momentum and the crowd and the energy into the Houston Texans' favor. Everybody's talking about the Deshaun Watson play that was fantastic. Somehow he stayed up after getting hit by 2 guys that collided. It looked like it was perfect timing where his body could never go down because he was squashed. Didn't get a tilt. And he gets out of the pocket, makes a throw, and it turns into a big gain, turns into the game winner. Texans win. That was a big play. But I go back to the J.J. Watt sack that really turned the momentum, the energy, and Houston, their leader, was there. From that point on, Houston was on a roll, and they never stopped. And Buffalo had their chances to change that momentum, to win the game, but never can find it, never can get to the next level. I thought Josh Allen had a great first half, but an average to ugly second half. I thought Deshaun Watson played horrible in the first half. Deshaun Watson was not good in the first half. And something changed in the second half, and he was better. I wouldn't say he was great, but he made plays. The team stuck around. The defense showed up in Houston, and they won. A lot of people are talking about Deshaun that. He had a bad first half, and he cannot do that again next week. Can't do it next week. Okay? Because by the time you look up, the Chiefs are going to have a lot of points on the board, and you got to play catch up on the road. Different scenario. Got to be a complete game to win, to go all the way. All right, there's my take on that game. Not happy with the call on the field, but it happened. A great moment last night You know, we talk about Breeze being 40. We talk about Tom Brady being 40. And retirement is on their way. And all this stuff. Then there's a quarterback, Josh McCown. Josh McCown has played for a lot of football teams as a quarterback, starting at times, a backup, out of the league, back again. And he took it one more time to be the Eagles' backup quarterback. Last night, in an unfortunate situation, Carson Wentz of the Eagles went down with a dirty hit by Clowney, a head-to-head blow on a quarterback in a vulnerable position. Everything that the rules is to protect the quarterback. I am with the Eagles fans that this was a blown, horrible non-call. That should have been 15 yards and a potential dismissal from the game. I mean, we've seen it happen already in the league. That could have and should have been called that way. Should have been a penalty. Then the Eagles lose their quarterback for the rest of the game. He's gone. And he was having a great December, and he was having a decent January game in the wild card game, the playoff game that forever has been not him. He's been hurt. And just when he gets his chance, he's out. And steps in Josh McCown. Josh McCown. He's been all over the place. And a lot of people were saying, and I believe it because I was saying it, what a story if this guy could pull off one game, one playoff game, and win it. He had his chances. Could not get the ball in the end zone. That was the biggest problem. Josh was there. He had what a moment for a story that we would be talking about. After the game, Josh McCown broke down in tears. He was crying. It was caught on camera. He probably knew this was his last game, and he never imagined that he would actually step in a playoff game in his career. That has been an average career, a beautiful backup. I'm just really happy and emotional for him because the game itself is leaving him and he's moving on again. And he knew this was his moment. He was given a gift in a sad and unfortunate way to do something special. He was right there. I am talking about this because these are moments that players get, and some take advantage of it and some don't. Josh McCown was ready, but not quite able to pull it off. Give Seattle credit, but he had. Oh my gosh. If the Eagles kick the field goal on that fourth down and make the score, was it 20-12? And they get the ball back again. They stop Seattle and they move the ball down again. They had a chance to win it. A chance to win it. But they went for it on fourth down again. If you kick the field goal again, now all of a sudden it's 20-15. No, did I get the score right? My mind, 17. Oh my gosh, I'm way off. So if they kicked the two field goals, it would have been 17-15, right? They kicked the ball off, and Seattle had the ball, having to get a first down. Philadelphia had all its timeouts, and they were in the same position, but unfortunately for the Eagles, they were down 17-9, and they should have been down 17-15 on a third down, and you make that stop. You get the ball back with a chance to kick a winning field goal. So clock management, decisions on fourth down. I mean, the Eagles are known to go for it on fourth down. It didn't go well. It backfired. But for Josh McCown, what a moment. I was rooting for you last night. My fingers were crossed and twisted like a pretzel, thinking, I want to see a moment for him, who has hung around the league for so long, who has been a joke in a lot of ways for a lot of people because it was Josh McCown. But a lot of times he's had some good moments in the NFL. He had his biggest opportunity last night. And a lot of people around the league who have watched him on if he was on your team or not, you know who he was. And last night, I believe most of America or around the world were going, how cool would this be? How cool would that be? His emotional tears after the game expressed maybe the retirement, that this is it. I came back just because I had a chance one more time to be a backup like I've always been. And he had a chance to win a playoff game. Wow. I loved it. I loved it. Didn't happen, though. Josh, you can go out with this memory that you had a chance. It never would have happened if you didn't come back one more year. One more time for the guy. All righty. Any comments about that last night? Did you recognize that? Do you understand what was going on with Josh McCown, who is a journeyman quarterback and sitting right there, and a lovable one? People love McCown. They loved him. All right. Moreno, Lucy in the house. McCown gave it a shot. He gave it a shot last night. McClowney's a dirty player. I know people have talked about that before, and Nish comes in and said, what does Nish say? That was a bad hit from Clowney. It was. Really hard hit on Clowney. And it changed the game. Because the way I looked at it, and I think a lot of people will say, if Carson Wentz is in the game, he makes that extra throw. He completes that pass or two that McCown could not do or did not do, and change the game around. The Eagles were right there. They were right there. They just kicked the field goals, and that was it in fourth downs. So for Seattle, you got to go to Green Bay. All right, for Green Bay, you got Russell Wilson, and that's the nightmare that you got to face. Because Russell has had your number in a lot of ways, and it's not an easy one for Green Bay. Not going to be an easy one for Green Bay. All right. I love your comments so far, guys. You're doing a great job. You're live on YouTube. You're live on YouTube at Hanna Time and Global Sports Broadcasting Network, Facebook Live, Instagram. I'm your host, Cornelius Brad Hanna, and Hanna Time continues. Our next story, Tom Brady. Tom. Tearful Tom Brady with his wife following a game, his loss on Saturday night. Was this another indicator? Was this another indicator that Tom Brady is retiring? He has no contract. He's a free agent. He wants to play until he's 44. He's 42. Is Tom Brady washed up, or is just a team that wasn't talented enough? Did we see the Patriots last year? That Tom Brady struggled a lot last year. Towards the end of the season, he wasn't the same Tom Brady also. I have to believe Belichick and his genius of a defensive mind was able to hold that team together. Tom's skill set and understanding the game and the system was able to find a way to win one more Super Bowl, because that was an ugly Super Bowl, and Tom Brady looked horrible. This season, Tom looked good during the season, but don't forget, it was the Patriots defense getting all those turnovers and all those defensive touchdowns that was blinding us, or for the most part, most of the people, that the 8-0 Patriots were great and they can't be stopped. But we all kind of saw the weak schedule, and that how they were winning was their defense for the most part, was making the plays and giving Tom chances to score. And hey, field position matters with Tom Brady. And it all changed. The month of December, it was ugly for New England. Are you surprised they lost? I am not. I am not surprised that the Patriots lost and were one and done. Wild card, one and done. Not surprised. It was a decline. There's only so much you can do. They get to hang on to whatever greatness they had, or whatever success they had, or whatever you want to say about cheating, whatever it was. It can't go forever. Tom is aging, but he did make throws that guys dropped passes. Didn't have the talent around him. Does Tom want to go back to New England where the talent level is what? Average. It's not that great in New England. Players on the field. It's not that great. Tom Brady is a free agent. Does he go somewhere else? Does he get a bigger money to go somewhere else? He says he wants to be a Patriot, but he doesn't quite say he'll be back. He doesn't have a contract. Robert Kraft, for whatever reason, has yet to give him a contract. Does Tom come back for one more year? Tom Brady threw an interception, pick 6, interception for a touchdown. That's his last throw as of right now in his career. And a lot of people are going to talk about that because they're looking for something to hold against him. But does Tom Brady want to go out like that? Or does he really care? Tom Brady, a lot of people call him a GOAT. I still think it's Dan Marino. That's my guy. But Robert Kraft suggested that Tom Brady, hopeful that he'll come back and play in New England. Here's a quote from Robert Kraft of the Patriots. My hope and prayer is, number 1, he play for the Patriots. Number 2, he retires as a Patriot or retires, right now. So either he plays for the Patriots or he retires. That's Patriots owner Robert Kraft telling Peter King on NBC. He has the freedom to decide what he wants to do and what's in his own best personal interest. He has been pressured by his wife, Tom Brady, to retire. The concussions, the beating, the body. The emotional, teary-eyed Tom Brady with his wife and family after the game said a lot. It says a lot. When an athlete cries, he's hurt. Tom Brady has lost before. He didn't cry before. We didn't see him crying. We never heard of him crying like that. Tom Brady, emotional departure from that game, that stadium, was an indicator that this could be it. As if his wife knew it, that they've talked about it. They sold their home. There were changes going on for Tom Brady during the season. Does he come back? Can he convince his wife and his kids? Can he convince himself that he wants to do it one more time? Or is he doing it out of ego or pride or the fact that he threw an interception for a touchdown? How much does Tom Brady want this? His family is big to him. That emotional, teary-eyed goodbye from that stadium and seeing his wife was real. It's real as it gets. When you talk about Josh McCown, and he's not Tom Brady, but knowingly that was his chance, and he was saying goodbye to the game, and he's crying on the field with his teammate, Josh McCown, those are real emotions. That's emotions of saying, this is it. I'm leaving this game. I'm moving on. This is hard. This is sad. And you have a buddy or a friend or a lover that comes up to you, and then the emotions just pour out because they know what you know. And it comes out. Tom Brady, those were real emotions of potential retirement. I can't say he's going to, but man, it is I believe it's really in that direction. He may come back one more year, but how much is he really in it? How much can he survive it? And does he play for the Patriots because he feels they can win it? Or are the Patriots who they are, and next season they're just going to be an average team because of what? We saw a very average Patriot team in the last 8 games. Matter of fact, you can go as well and say is they were not a winning team, right? Were they a winning team? Were the Patriots a winning team? Right? They were 12-4. They were 12-4, right? But they were 8-0. So the second half of their season, they were 4-4. And in games that were tough wins, battling wins. Are the Patriots another 4-4, 8-8 team going into next year? Does Tom Brady want that? This is why people see the end of the era, the end of Brady, Belichick with the Patriots. The big, big, big debate that we don't know. We want to talk about it, but it truly does look like the Patriots' run is done. They just haven't looked good. And their player personnel in the field is not. People want to complain that they have offensive injuries on the offensive line. But they weren't complaining about that when they were 8-0 or 8-1 or 10-1, whatever it was, right? They weren't complaining about that. And they were still saying at 12-4, don't count them out. They're 12-4. Here we go again. You always count them out, right? But then they want to talk about the injuries. Here comes the excuse again. Everybody has excuses because of injuries in the NFL. And let's get that straight. Okay? As I'm talking to my audience on YouTube and talking to my audience on Facebook Live. All right, so there you have it. Tom Brady, big, emotional. All right, even his owner, not quite sure if he's coming back. Maybe they talked about it. Because if Robert Kraft doesn't know if Tom Brady is coming back because there's no contract, maybe he offered him a contract. And maybe Tom Brady said, let me think about it. And everything is about him digesting everything and thinking about it. Or maybe they know already. Maybe they all know this was Tom's end. Either way, Robert Kraft doesn't have him under contract, probably offered him a 1-year, 2-year deal. Tom Brady, still free agent now, still doesn't have a team. Why didn't he take the contract? Why didn't he say to Robert Kraft, let's do 1 more year? I think Robert Kraft does not want to lose Tom Brady's name. Because it all changes. It all will change. It would all change. And the mighty dollar is there. And to get 1 more year out of your guy, your man, that's changed your franchise around forever, that's valuable. I'd be surprised that Robert Kraft never offered him a contract. I'll be very surprised. I believe this is Tom Brady saying, I have to think about it. Even his comments after the game was uncertain. Probably, most likely, or he put it in a very vague way that he didn't say, I'm back. We're going to talk about it. I want to play 1 more year. He never said, I want to play 1 more year. He never said, I want to play 2 more years. He never said, I want to play to 44 years old. Never said it. Doesn't say it. He's been doing his best to avoid it and give you a generic answer. And those emotions after the game with his wife was an emotional retirement goodbye. He's probably not 100% retired in his mind, but he knows that it's like, your mind is sort of like made up. Like, like when you're about to buy something and you're like, should I buy it or not? You kind of know what you want. You kind of feel where it's leaning now. He's already in the retirement mode, played out his season, giving it 1 more chance without saying it. That's how I looked at it. And the fact that they didn't finish strong, the fact that the Patriots did not look good at all. The New England Patriots averaged like 17 points in the month of December. They couldn't even score 20 points. Understand that. They couldn't score 20 points. New England, Tom Brady. It didn't matter who was hurt. It didn't matter who was his receivers, right? That's all we heard. Because Tom was Tom. He's great. Everything. They know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. But where was it when you were 4-4 in the second half of the year? Where was it in December? Where was it on Saturday night? It was the same result, the same team, struggling to find the end zone, struggling to score points. And all the excuses that are coming out. No, this is who they are. Not enough talent there. Tom Brady, I think you're going away. Not because I'm saying I think that's what you're doing. I think your wife was worried about you a couple years ago, and she let you go. She extended the leash. She took you off the leash and said, Tom, go have fun. But a time's got to come where you got to say bye. I want a healthy husband. I don't want those concussions. I don't want anything. I want my husband, and we got a family. We got all the money we want. You got the rings. You've done something very special. Come home, Tom. Tom, come home. And I think Tom Brady has felt it, kind of knew it. And I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with it. If he comes back one more year, you got to believe it's just one more run, like one more something. But I don't know if he's truly 100% in it. And the moment you break, the moment you snap out of your zone, the deterioration of your age shows up. The deterioration of your game shows up because there's a focus that is so beyond your imagination as great players in the game, all sports, or all types of things in life. The moment you break, the moment you come out of your zone, you're vulnerable. Things don't go well. The great Tiger Woods looked impossible to beat. He was fantastic. But look, the focus was broken when everything went down. When everything went down, that came out, he was broken. Now it was a serious broken. But I'm going to go back to what Tiger Woods' father told him at a young age about focus, about marriage, about why. Not to discourage marriage, but to talk about focus in your zone. And he was told him, don't get married till later in life. Don't get married till later in life because it's going to disrupt your focus. Family, kids, wife. Not as a bad thing, but if you're trying to be great and you love what you do, he was advising his son. Tiger Woods didn't take his dad's advice to the end. Married a beautiful woman, had a family, but just everything started to shift after that point. Now he's back. He's in a zone again at whatever level Tiger Woods is at. Tom Brady was in a zone. And it was slowly breaking. But he was hanging on because he's able to, as a veteran, figure it out. And the fact that he had support from his wife and it engages him, raises his frequency to play the game with a free, open mind to get going. But been a couple of years, the wife, the kids, the change. I don't know if Tom Brady is 100% there going into next season with a contract. If it's 1 year, my gosh, if it's 2 years, what are you getting? And is his wife going to be happy? It's like that matters to Tom Brady. Obviously, he is a great family guy, loves everything about that. You see everything he does in the offseason. And I'm going to end it with that. Tom Brady. We may have seen the last of him. It looks really good, and for that purpose. All right. More comments coming in. So the Patriots, Mr. Kraft, give him the respect and let him look elsewhere. Oh, yeah, they are. The Patriots are letting Tom Brady look elsewhere. But they're hoping that he decides to stay with the Patriots. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else but the Patriots. And who do the Patriots have? They don't have a quarterback. Does New England have a quarterback? Think about that. What does New England do from this point on? You got to think about that. All right. Anish. Is that Danny Rogers? Hey, Danny. Anish. All right. Let's see what Anish says. There are many franchises in this league that would die to be in the same position as the Patriots, even if they also called struggling. Let's not forget they all won 12 games, made the playoffs. Losing franchises will give anything they have that. Totally agree. Subpar record this season that the Pats had. It wasn't their best, but it was still 12-4. But I'll go back to this, Anish. I'll go back to the Super Bowl champions, Pittsburgh Steelers, winning their 4th Super Bowl with Terry Bradshaw, and they were dominant. But they won because of great players still in there. They won because they had talent that still knew how to play the game. They had a great quarterback in Terry Bradshaw. To me, he one of the greatest Super Bowl quarterbacks of all time, if not the best in my mind also. But the following season, it dropped off drastically, and it was over. It happened so fast, Anish. Yes, the record was good, but to continue it, it's so hard, and it drops. It disappears fast. You get a run, and then it goes away. So 12-4, great record, but if they do it again next year, fine. But do you expect them to just run the table and go back to a Super Bowl? The league is getting better. There's more talent around the league. It's going to be a lot harder. It's a different game. Let's think about the Patriots' future and Bill Belichick. I mentioned this, I don't know, maybe mid-December, that the league has figured out what the Patriots were doing and how they were doing it. I know people talk about, and we talked about the cheating part, but they had a system. And their resurrection, after they had their first run with Tom Brady winning a few Super Bowls, they disappeared. They didn't have anything. But they did draft Gronkowski, a tight end of the ages, because it changed the game for what we see today. The NFL, everybody wants the Gronkowski, and a lot of teams have their tight end. Not all of them, but the game is channeling through the tight end. Tom Brady, Belichick knew this, figured out something, and struck gold with that alone. And every time Gronkowski was hurt, the Patriots hurt. Every time Gronkowski came back, the Patriots won. Not by coincidence. The tight end, the play calling, channeling through a freak of nature at a position now that has now changed the game of football. 6'5", 440 speed, offensive lineman body that runs and jumps and catches the football, and he's a tight end. And they're all over the league. There are tight ends everywhere that are beasts. Gronkowski and the Patriots were ahead of the game, and the game is caught up to the Patriots, and Tom Brady's on his way out. And by that being said, where are the Patriots? Where are they? They're in a bad spot. So the drop-off is looking really like it's going to happen. This looks like the making of a great, like Magic Johnson and the Lakers. They got back to the championship game of the NBA Finals, but they got blown out 4-1 or whatever it was, 4 games to the Chicago Bulls. Remember that? Or the Detroit Pistons, right? You remember that? Magic got back, and it was still that Magic and the Lakers, and they were hanging on to something in that sport with the Lakers because Magic, and it was very difficult to knock them out, take them out, and it took father time and aging and just better talent and better teams showing up. And finally, it happened. The Lakers were done with Magic. It was over. It was over. It happened again. Even the Lakers had a 2 runs with Kobe like that. You got to take them out. It's really, but if you take them out, they always bounce back the next year. But now it's at a soft, vulnerable spot. And we've seen this before with great dynasties. From the Islanders, from the Montreal Canadiens, to the Gretzky's Edmonton Oilers. Okay? From the NBA, from all the great ones, from the dynasties of the Bulls, the dynasty of the Pistons that they had a run in them. How about the Spurs and their, spread out championships, so-called dynasty? Watch what happens with the Golden State Warriors. They all expect to bounce back. Things change. They may have one more run in them. Things change. Football dynasties, they make a big heart at the end, a big push at the end. But when it happens hard. It devastates. It's gone. And I believe it's gone. I truly do. I believe it's truly gone for the Patriots. Even if Tom shows up, you're all going to talk about, oh, he's got one more. We've seen it before. We've seen it before with great quarterbacks. It happens. We can go through all the dynasties. It happens. Until you knock them out and get them at the right time. I hope my analogy was clear. I hope there was some clarity to it. It makes sense. I know it does. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've witnessed in my lifetime. And this smells, tastes, and feels and looks like it's done. Like we've been here before, and we were thinking it was over before, but we forgot about the Gronkowski thing. We forgot about all that, but the league is caught up. And Belichick has to figure out something else, or he's just going to be who he was. The Cleveland Brown coach. Where in Cleveland, he was. Does Belichick still stick around? All right. Got a few more things and we're going to say goodbye. Anthony Carrillo says he's going to take some time off right now, spend time with the family. Then he gets closer to the draft and will make the decision. I can see that happening. I can see that he needs to digest everything. He does. Tom Brady needs to. Who's that? Anthony? Good job, Anthony. But I believe that it's leaning more retirement than has ever happened before. Denise, Mike Barlow, though. Oh, Micah. Back with you, Michelle. Anish says, I wish I could have seen Bradshaw winning 4 Super Bowls in the 70s. I did on the TV set. I wasn't there in person. But it was remarkable. The Steelers of the 70s going up against dynasties of the 70s. There were these – the Oakland Raiders had their own dynasty, but they never won, right? The Cowboys won their Super Bowls, and they were the talk of the town. They were America's team when it was really the Steelers' America's team. Do you realize the Pittsburgh Steelers have 9 Hall of Famers on that team, and there are still a few more Steelers out there that should be on the Hall of Fame list? Donnie Shell and L.C. Greenwood, all pros throughout their career and champions. That is the greatest dynasty of all in the NFL because of what they produced on their roster. So I was spoiled as a kid watching something special, but I was watching it because I didn't like the Cowboys. I wasn't liking the Vikings. I didn't like the Raiders. Give me somebody else that the Steelers were beating at the time. I didn't. So like everybody else in that era growing up, you have a special little thing in your heart for that dynasty in the 70s with the Steelers because they took out teams that you wanted to take out, and the Steelers did it. And they did it the Steeler way, the blue-collar way, the names. They had star power. It was very unique. And Terry Bradshaw, I saw something the other day, and a lot has to do with rule changes in today's game. Why are quarterbacks and players so good and breaking records like every other game there's a record broken? because of the rule changes. But we need to go all the way back to the 1970s when Mel Blount, the greatest cornerback, defensive back. It's not Deion Sanders. It's not Island and, Revis Island. All right. It's not Richard Sherman. Okay. It's not Patrick Peterson. It's Mel Blount. Watch him. Look at all. He was a tight end. He was like, 6'4" or something like that? 240, who can run like a deer. The guy was a freak of nature in the 70s. And he would beat you up at the line of scrimmage, take you out of your pass route. And then you had the fierce Steeler front line of Joe Green, LC, Ernie Holmes, and Dwight White, Mad Dog. Steel Curtain. And other names. Jack Lambert, Jack Ham. You heard the names already, right? But Mel Blount changed the game forever because they changed the rule that you couldn't touch anybody within 5 yards coming off the line of scrimmage as a wide receiver. You couldn't touch them because Mel Blount was killing them. And then when they changed the rule, things changed in Pittsburgh. They won 2 Super Bowls. They dropped off for 2 years, some injuries or not. And then they bounced back and won 2 more and won 4 out of 6 years. But Terry Bradshaw wasn't a throwing quarterback in the first 2 Super Bowls. Wasn't. But until the Mel Blount rule was put in, it opened up the passing game. It helped Roger Staubach. It helped Kenny Stabler. Right? It helped these quarterbacks around the league in the late 70s when the rule change happened with the Mel Blount rule. And all of a sudden, Terry Bradshaw was MVP of 2 Super Bowls, was throwing the football like you'd never seen before. And you're like, where did this come from? Because of the rule change. He had Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. He had a running back in Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier. Enough said, right? Now he's throwing to Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, who can't get touched 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Think about that. Now you fast forward to today's game with Tom Brady and all this GOAT stuff, and I say to myself, how GOAT is he when we watched it in the 70s? Greatness there too. Understand where I'm going? So when Anish on the show has said, I wish I was able to watch that, it was great because you had great quarterbacks who are taking advantage of the new rule, and guys like Drew Pearson, Tony Hill of the Cowboys, and Roger Staubach and Tony Dorsett catching passes out of the backfield, right? Kenny Stabler with Cliff Branch. All of a sudden, Cliff Branch was having great career games and everything. And Fred Biletnikoff, right? David Casper was a tight end of the era of the 70s. Do you know who David Casper is? Well, until the rule changes, David Casper became a catching tight end, not a blocking tight end. He was a catching tight end. Do you know who Burt Jones is? And the Baltimore Colts with Lydell Mitchell in that offense in Baltimore. You don't. You had the run with the Dolphins. I get it. You had the Fran Tarkenton and the Chuck Foreman, Sammy White, Ahmad Rashad, wide receivers. These are great players in a great era, great quarterbacks. But when the rule changed in the 70s, the Mel Blount rule, that's why he's the greatest cornerback, defensive back in the history of the game. You can't argue this. If you do, I'll destroy it. There's no way. But for today's game and Tom Brady and all these quarterbacks, it all started back then. You know what? And bless those football players' souls who have not gotten the pension, the money they deserve for changing the game itself. for players today making millions and millions of dollars, where there are retired guys who are banged up, who don't have a penny in their pocket, but the rule changes that they've created in the game they played in the 70s and the 60s, if they're still living, these guys deserve compensation. And they deserve the NFL and the players' union to step up to the plate. These are the guys, these wide receivers and quarterbacks that are making a lot of money. You got to think what happened back in the 70s or the 60s. And I don't want to get off topic, but man, it does create more thought and more bullet points and talking points as you get deeper into this. It all stemmed from the Tom Brady retirement. Unbelievable. Can I get a ding? I got a ding. All right, so Ken Bowers, Christopher in the house, Mike Johnson, Nicole in the house. Hey, Nicole. Cesar and Dana in the house. Guys, I'm almost done with the show for today. But let me get into one more topic, and then we'll move on. Without Tom Brady, without Drew Brees in the playoffs, true changing of the guard has begun, right? Like, we feel that's happening. I think Brees may get a chance two more times to get to a Super Bowl. But it hasn't happened since winning a Super Bowl. Tom Brady, to me, is either 1 year or he's done already. Who are the quarterbacks of our new era? Who are you going to take? Who are you going to pick? This is a very, very, very debatable conversation to have, because we're watching dual threat quarterbacks, but we watched that before and it faded out. Quarterbacks got hurt. When the game became time to throw the ball, the league rules changed that helped change the game for quarterbacks, and the dual threat quarterback disappeared again. And we've had dual threat quarterbacks in the past. Cordell Stewart was one of them. Randall Cunningham is another one. I mean, we've been here before. And then we went back and we did it again, right? And now we're here again with quarterbacks that we see as dual threat quarterbacks. I don't believe they're as big as a dual threat other than Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson doesn't necessarily run the ball. He'll scramble like any quarterback and take off if he has to. Yes, he's got better legs, and he may get a bigger play out of it. But there's no real design plays for him. He's a pocket quarterback and a really good one. Russell Wilson, the same kind of quarterback. He's not looking to run the ball. He wants to throw the ball and hand the ball off. He moves around the pocket well. He keeps the play alive. Now, we've seen quarterbacks before. Come on. You act like we've never seen quarterbacks do this. John Elway ran around. The big quarterback was hard to bring down, and he was escaped with that big body. Wasn't the fastest guy, but he was able to get out of the pocket. Designed or not. Okay? Fran Tarkenton was a scrambler. Okay? Roger Staubach ran the ball. That's why he had so many concussions. We've seen quarterbacks, so don't get so whooped up about the new era quarterback, because we've seen them. These quarterbacks have always been in our time. Let's put that to rest. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that is designed to run the ball, and only time will tell if it can last, because we've seen it before with Kaepernick. When you start to run and get hit, it's hard to bring down, and you are getting hit, and your body breaks down. I don't see it lasting 2-3 years, the best. And then what happens to your team in Baltimore when you lose your quarterback? RG3? Come on. RG3 is not the same guy. He was that quarterback that everybody bragged about, and look what happened to him. That's the fear when you want to be a true dual threat quarterback like Lamar Jackson. I feel Lamar Jackson has more of a downside because of injury, and still has to be a pocket quarterback. And everybody tries to say he is. He's not. He plays off of the dual threat RPO, running the football, where it opens up the field. But when they start to take away that, or it disappears, or things change, who is he? We're going to learn more about Lamar Jackson. But they're not going to change their game against Tennessee. They're going to do what they do best and stick with it. But when the tough gets going and the going gets tough, with Lamar Jackson trying to throw the ball, and he has to, it's a threat. It's successful, but it's been done before, and it doesn't last. So without Brady, without Breeze in the playoffs, is it a true changing of the guard? Because we thought we saw this about 8 years ago, right? And since then, Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl. Everybody was like the changing of the guard. Russell hasn't won one since. He had a great defense back then, a great defense in Seattle. And now we're looking at what? Quarterbacks that won Super Bowls since then. Nick Foles, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, right? Peyton Manning. Okay? Flacco. So you got to understand that don't be so caught up on this. Now, we are seeing a change of the athletic ability at the quarterback position, and not necessarily about running like Lamar Jackson, because you're paying millions of dollars for a guy to get hit when you don't want him hit because he's valuable. Put that in perspective. But if the tight end position has changed into a freak mode, if guys like Ryan Shazier before he got hurt was a freak of nature at linebacker, when you have running backs like Kamara and Le'Veon Bell, right, guys that are just catch the football and run the football, and you don't know if they're a wide receiver or a running back, but they're great at it. We are seeing a change. Even offensive linemen are running 4.4s and 4.6. Like they're running 4.5. Like they're running. They're big and fast. So we're changing, and we're seeing the changing of every position. And the molding of a pocket quarterback, mobile quarterback has begun. His name is Mahomes. Mahomes is the future of what the position will truly be. Not that Mahomes is something we have never seen before, because we have, but Mahomes is better on his feet. He's giving us the indication of what the league is going to be like with other quarterbacks showing up like Mahomes. There is Trevor Lawrence that you're going to watch from a week from tonight in the national championship football game for college football, who is exactly the next generation quarterback. So you're not quite seeing the future in the playoffs other than Mahomes. Mahomes is the future of the quarterback position. Guys like Trevor Lawrence will be that guy. I don't know if Burrow is that guy for the league, for the NFL, because we have only seen really 1 year of college football where he was great. But Trevor Lawrence is that guy, and that's the new wave of quarterbacks in the league is what? Trevor Lawrence and Mahomes. Take those two guys and start to put them in that category of the next generation quarterback, the changing of the guard. What we're watching now are good quarterbacks that are winning in today's game for these times, but for the future, for the long term, those guys will be around, but they're not going to be my elite guys that are going to be the freak hybrid quarterback. Lamar Jackson is hybrid in a way of what you're watching, but he has to still prove that he is a extremely dangerous pocket quarterback that has what? can make the throws without having wide open receivers. He can complete the wide open pass because the system is perfect for him. And he does it well. And how long that lasts in Baltimore, we'll find out. But history tells us it only has a few years in it and it changes. And we'll go with history. But what we will do is go with what? The next generation quarterback. And we talked about that. All right. I got to get out of here. I want to say hi and goodbye to some of you right now.
Thank you for listening and watching.
Some of you have mentioned some good things today on this Monday of football. Don't forget the top news of the day, Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. As we're closing out the show, thank you for joining the show on YouTube. Thank you for joining the show on Facebook, both live. Scotty, Ken, Christopher Kelly, thank you. We got Mike Johnson in the house. I appreciate it. Real quick there, Todd. I see you, Todd. Thanks for the comment, Todd. Brian, Gloria in the house. Chad, Warren in the house. Todd, I appreciate it. Notice there are more veteran quarterbacks in years playoffs. Yes, they are. But there are a lot of young quarterbacks right now, and that's why there's a tight end and a running back that are so valuable for your team. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, guys? We got a lot to talk about. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys.